I thought my 25th birthday would be the one celebration my parents would never mess up. I had everything planned perfectly in my head as I walked through their front door that Friday evening. The dining room should have been decorated with streamers and balloons. The kitchen should have smelled like my favorite chocolate cake baking in the oven. Instead, I found my mother frantically cleaning while my father lounged in his recliner and my younger sister Emma primping in front of the hallway mirror. When I asked about my birthday dinner, my mother looked genuinely confused before her face turned pale. They had completely forgotten because Emma needed to prepare for her date tomorrow night with some wealthy guy named Tyler. The silence that followed my mother's realization felt suffocating. She stammered about how busy they had been lately, how Emma's date was so important for the family's future. My father finally looked up from his phone, nodding along like a bobblehead. "Carissa, sweetheart, you understand how crucial this is," my mother said, wringing her hands. "Emma's been seeing this Tyler fellow, and he owns a successful construction company. If things work out between them, it could mean financial security for all of us." I stared at her in disbelief. "Financial security? What are you talking about? And what does that have to do with my birthday?" Emma appeared in the doorway, her blonde hair perfectly curled, wearing a new dress I had never seen before. "Oh, you're here," she said with barely concealed irritation. "Mom, did you tell her about tomorrow?" "Tell me what?" I asked, my stomach dropping. My mother avoided my eyes. "Well, we had to use your birthday budget for Emma's preparations. She needed a spa day new outfit, professional makeup. This date could change everything for our family." The words hit me like a physical blow. Not only had they forgotten my birthday, but they had also taken the money meant for my celebration and spent it on Emma's date preparation. I felt my hands shaking as the full scope of their betrayal sank in. "You gave away my birthday money," I whispered. "It's not like you need it," Emma said, examining her manicured nails. "You have a good job and your own place. This is about securing our family's future." My father cleared his throat uncomfortably. "The construction business has been slow lately, Carissa. You know how it is. We're just trying to make smart investments in opportunities." That's when the irony of the situation became crystal clear. For 8 months, I had been secretly covering their mortgage payments after my father confided in me about his work struggles. Every month, I transferred $1,200 to ensure they wouldn't lose their house. They had no idea that their successful businessman father's income wasn't keeping them afloat. "Dad, about the construction business being slow," I said carefully. "How slow exactly?" He waved his hand dismissively. "Nothing for you to worry about. Just a temporary rough patch. We'll make up your birthday celebration next month when things pick up." I pulled out my phone and opened social media, something I rarely did during family visits. My father's Facebook profile loaded and I scrolled through recent posts. Photo after photo showed him on fishing trips, playing golf at expensive country clubs, and dining at upscale restaurants with his buddies. The most recent post was from 3 days ago, showing him holding a large vase with the caption, "Another successful day on the lake with the boys." "Dad," I said, turning the phone screen toward him, "this doesn't look like someone struggling with slow business." His face went white. My mother stepped closer, squinting at the screen. Emma stopped admiring herself long enough to glance over. "I can explain," he started, but I was already opening my banking app. "Actually, let me call the mortgage company first," I said, dialing the number I had memorized months ago. "I just want to verify that my payments have been processed correctly." The customer service representative confirmed what I suspected. Not only had my payments been received, but my parents had also refinanced their house 6 months ago, taking out an additional $50,000 in equity. The refinancing had happened right around the time my father had supposedly started struggling with work. I hung up and stared at my family. My parents looked like deer caught in headlights. Emma was still trying to figure out what was happening. "You refinanced the house," I said quietly. "You took out $50,000 while I've been paying your mortgage thinking you were struggling." My mother started crying. "Carissa, you don't understand. We were trying to improve our financial situation. We used that money to help Emma get established, to give her opportunities. Opportunities like spa days and shopping sprees. She's our investment in the future," my father said desperately. "Emma has always been good with people. She's beautiful, charming. We knew if we helped her meet the right man, she could secure all of our futures." The worst part wasn't just the financial deception. It was the realization that they saw me as nothing more than a source of income while viewing Emma as their ticket to a better life through marriage. I was the workhorse daughter, valuable only for what I could provide. Emma was the princess daughter, worthy of investment and dreams. I sat down heavily on their couch, staring at my phone screen showing the next mortgage payment scheduled for automatic transfer tomorrow morning. For the first time in 8 months, I questioned whether I should let it go through. The next morning, I arrived at my parents' house, determined to have an honest conversation with Emma. I found her in the kitchen, surrounded by shopping bags and beauty products, getting ready for her big date that evening. "Emma, we need to talk about what happened last night," I said, sitting across from her at the breakfast table. She didn't look up from applying a face mask. "What about it?" "You got upset over nothing. You're 25 years old, Carissa. Birthdays aren't that important anymore." "It's not about the birthday party. It's about respect and fairness." Now she looked at me, rolling her eyes dramatically. "Here we go with another lecture from successful sister Carissa. You know what your problem is? You're jealous that Mom and Dad recognize my potential instead of just throwing money at you." "Jealous, Emma. I've been paying their mortgage for months." "So what?" She snapped, her mask cracking as her face contorted with anger. "You make good money. It's not like $1,200 is going to break you." The casualness of her response stunned me. You knew I was covering the mortgage?" Emma shrugged, peeling off her face mask. "I heard Dad talking to you about it last winter. Big deal. You went to college, got a fancy degree, make bank as a financial analyst. That comes with responsibilities to family. Responsibilities that apparently don't apply to you. I contribute in different ways," she said, admiring herself in the hand mirror. "I bring joy to this family. I'm the one Mom and Dad can be proud of when their friends come over. You just write them checks." My mouth fell open at her audacity. "Joy, is that what you call draining their resources?" "I call it maximizing my potential for everyone's benefit. When I marry well, this whole family will be set for life. That's a much better investment than your little mortgage payments." The truth started clicking into place. "Emma, how many times have Mom and Dad asked me for money since last winter?" She looked uncomfortable for the first time. "I don't keep track of your financial business." The emergency car repair in March that cost $800. Dad's medical bills in April that were supposedly not covered by insurance. Mom's sister's funeral expenses in June. The roof leak repair in August. Should I go on? Emma's silence was confirmation enough. "You encouraged them to ask me for money, didn't you? You helped them create these fake emergencies." "They weren't fake," she said defensively. "Dad's car really did need new brakes. Mom really did want to help with Aunt Linda's funeral costs. The roof really did have a small leak. But the amounts were inflated, and the insurance and family help stories were lies." Emma stood up abruptly, sweeping her beauty products into a bag. "You're being paranoid and selfish. Everything we asked for was legitimate. Maybe the costs were a little higher because we wanted quality repairs and services. You can afford it." "Where did the extra money go, Emma?" "I don't know what you're talking about." I pulled out my phone and showed her photos I had taken of receipts I found in the kitchen trash. "Dad's car brakes cost $200. You guys asked me for $800. Mom's plane ticket to Aunt Linda's funeral was $150. You asked for $600 for travel expenses. Emma's face flushed red. Fine. So what if I benefited from some of those requests? I deserve nice things too. I'm tired of wearing clothes from discount stores while you drive around in your new Honda and live in a fancy apartment. I live in a one-bedroom apartment and drive a 3-year-old Civic. Which is more than I have. Do you know how embarrassing it is to be the poor sister, to have friends ask why I can't afford to go out with them or buy decent clothes? The entitlement in her voice was staggering. So you decided to steal from me through our parents. It's not stealing when it's family helping family. You owe us for all the years Mom and Dad supported you through college. I had student loans, Emma. I worked 2 jobs through school, and I've been paying them back by supporting this family financially ever since graduation. Well, maybe it's time you started supporting me emotionally too. Do you know how hard it is to live in your shadow perfect Carissa with her perfect grades and perfect job and perfect life? The least you can do is help me have some nice things while I'm trying to find my own path. Her words revealed the depth of resentment she had been harboring. But instead of working to improve her own situation, she had chosen to manipulate our parents into extracting money from me. Emma, what exactly is your plan with Tyler tonight? Her demeanor shifted instantly, becoming dreamy and optimistic. Tyler is amazing. He owns 3 construction crews and has contracts all over the state. He drives a brand new truck and lives in one of those big houses up on Hillcrest Drive. How long have you been dating? We've been talking for about a month. Tonight is our 4th date, and I think he's getting serious about me. Mom thinks he might even propose soon. Something about her timeline didn't add up. 4 dates in a month and Mom thinks he's ready to propose. It's not about the number of dates, Carissa. It's about quality and connection. Tyler and I just click. He appreciates someone who knows how to take care of herself and look good for her man. The way she talked about Tyler sounded more like a business transaction than a romance. What does he do for fun? What are his hobbies? What do you 2 talk about? Emma waved her hand dismissively. Guys like Tyler don't need hobbies. They work hard and make money. That's what matters. We talk about his business success and my plans for the future. Your plans? Well, our plans. Once we're serious, I'll help him with the social side of his business. Entertaining clients, networking events, that sort of thing. I'm much better at that stuff than you would be. The conversation was becoming more disturbing by the minute. Emma wasn't interested in Tyler as a person. She was interested in him as a meal ticket. And our parents were fully supporting this gold digger approach. What if things don't work out with Tyler? They will, she said confidently. Mom spent $300 on my preparations for tonight. Professional hair makeup, the perfect dress, matching accessories. Tyler won't be able to resist. $300 that was supposed to be my birthday celebration budget. I felt sick. Emma, what happens to all of us if Tyler isn't interested in a serious relationship? He will be. And even if he's not, there are other successful men out there. Mom and Dad understand that finding the right husband is like a full-time job. It requires investment in appearance, social connections, and putting yourself in the right places at the right times. And what's my role in this family plan? You keep doing what you're good at, making money and supporting the family while I focus on landing a husband who can support all of us long term. It's a division of labor that makes sense. I stared at my sister, realizing that our entire family had developed a system where I was expected to be the provider, while Emma was groomed to be the ultimate beneficiary. Neither my parents nor Emma saw anything wrong with this arrangement. What if I don't want to keep supporting everyone while you date wealthy men? Emma looked genuinely confused by the question. Why wouldn't you want to help your family succeed? That's what families do. We all contribute what we can. You contribute money, I contribute potential. And what happens to me in this plan? Do I just work and pay bills forever while you live the good life? Carissa, you chose a career path. You chose to be independent and successful. That comes with responsibilities. I chose to focus on relationships and family. That comes with different responsibilities. Like what responsibilities? Like making our family look good. Like bringing honor to the family name through a good marriage. Like ensuring our future generations have opportunities. The twisted logic of her worldview was breathtaking. In Emma's mind, she was making a noble sacrifice by allowing wealthy men to wine and dine her, while I was simply fulfilling my obligation to fund her lifestyle. I need to go get ready for tonight, she announced. Tyler is picking me up at 7, and I want to look absolutely perfect. As she gathered her things to leave the kitchen, I realized that tonight's date was going to reveal more truth than any of us expected. And I had a sinking feeling that Emma was about to learn some harsh lessons about the difference between her fantasies and reality. By 6:30 that evening, my parents' house had transformed into a pre-date war zone. My mother buzzed around like an anxious bee adjusting Emma's hair and makeup for the 10th time. My father paced the living room in his best shirt, as if he were the one going on the date. Remember, don't talk too much about yourself, my mother coached Emma. Ask him about his business, his goals, his family. Men love talking about their successes. I know, Mom, Emma replied, checking herself in the mirror again. I've got this handled. I watched the spectacle from the kitchen doorway, still reeling from our morning conversation. The amount of energy and money they had invested in this single date was astronomical. Emma's dress alone had cost $150, plus professional hairstyling, makeup application, and new jewelry. At exactly 7 o'clock, a lifted pickup truck pulled into the driveway. Emma practically vibrated with excitement. He's here. How do I look? Absolutely stunning, my father declared, beaming with pride. The doorbell rang and my father rushed to answer it. When the door opened, my heart stopped. Standing on the porch was Tyler Morrison, my college boyfriend, who had broken up with me 2 years ago when he moved to Denver for work. He looked exactly the same, tall, broad-shouldered, with that easy smile that had first attracted me during our sophomore statistics class. Tyler's expression shifted from polite anticipation to shocked recognition when he saw me standing behind my family. Carissa, he said, his voice filled with surprise. What are you doing here? My parents looked confused, glancing between Tyler and me. Emma stepped forward, linking her arm possessively through Tyler's. You two know each other? Emma asked, her voice tight with suspicion. Carissa and I dated in college, Tyler explained honestly. I had no idea she had a sister. The silence that followed was deafening. My mother's mouth opened and closed like a fish. My father looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. Emma's perfectly applied makeup couldn't hide her growing panic. Emma never mentioned having a sister, I asked Tyler directly. He shook his head, looking genuinely confused. She told me she was an only child. Said her parents were both retired and she was their main focus. I felt the blood drain from my face. Emma had been lying to Tyler about our family situation from the beginning. That's not exactly true, I said carefully. Emma's grip on Tyler's arm tightened. Can we just go to dinner? We can sort out family details later. But Tyler wasn't ready to let the subject drop. Carissa, it's really good to see you. I heard through mutual friends that you're doing amazing in financial analysis. Sarah mentioned you got promoted last year. Sarah, Emma interjected sharply. Sarah Chen, our mutual friend from college, Tyler explained. She keeps me updated on people from our old group. I could see Emma's carefully constructed fantasy beginning to crumble. Tyler wasn't just randomly interested in her. He was connected to my social circle from college. Tyler, I said gently, can I talk to you privately for a minute? Absolutely not, Emma said quickly. We're already running late for our reservation. Tyler looked at Emma with growing concern. Actually, Emma, I need to clarify something. We don't have a reservation tonight. I thought we were just getting coffee again like our other meetups. The word meetups hit Emma like a slap. Meetups. What do you mean meetups? Our coffee dates. I mean, they've been nice, but I thought I was clear that I was looking for friendship rather than romance. My parents exchanged horrified glances. Emma's face went completely white underneath her professional makeup. But you asked me out, Emma stammered. I suggested we grab coffee to talk about your interest in event planning. My company sometimes needs help organizing client appreciation events, and you mentioned wanting to get into that field. The truth was devastating. Tyler hadn't been dating Emma romantically at all. She had misinterpreted professional networking as romantic interest and built an entire fantasy around it. Emma, Tyler said gently, I think there might have been some misunderstanding about my intentions. You're a nice person, but I'm not looking for a relationship right now. And honestly, the fact that you lied about having a sister is concerning. Emma's composure finally snapped. I didn't lie. I just simplified the situation because my family dynamics are complicated. How is having a sister complicated? Tyler asked. Emma looked desperately at our parents for support, but they were too shocked to help. The web of lies was unraveling faster than anyone could manage. My sister overshadows everything in this family, Emma burst out. She makes all the money, pays all the bills, gets all the praise for being successful. I'm just the pretty daughter who's supposed to smile and look good at family gatherings. Tyler's expression grew more troubled. Emma, if you're not happy with your family situation, there are healthier ways to address that than misrepresenting yourself to potential friends or business contacts. Friends. Emma's voice cracked. You think of me as just a friend. I thought I'd been clear about that. I'm actually hoping to reconnect with Carissa if she's interested. We ended things on good terms when I moved to Denver, and I've always regretted not staying in touch. The final blow landed squarely on Emma's fantasy. Not only was Tyler not romantically interested in her, but he was interested in rekindling his relationship with me. Emma turned on me with pure fury. This is all your fault. You ruined this on purpose because you can't stand to see me happy. Emma, I didn't even know Tyler would be here, I protested. You probably planned this whole thing. You probably told him lies about me. Tyler stepped back, clearly uncomfortable with the family drama unfolding. I think I should leave. This seems like a family matter that needs to be resolved privately. No, please don't go, my mother begged. This is just a misunderstanding. Emma is normally very sweet and reasonable. Tyler looked at my parents with something approaching pity. I think the problem is bigger than a misunderstanding. Emma, I wish you the best, but I don't think we should continue meeting. The dishonesty about your family is a red flag for me. He turned to me with a much warmer expression. Carissa, would you be interested in having coffee sometime? I'd love to catch up and hear about your career. Before I could answer, Emma exploded. You can't do this. You can't just switch from me to her. This was supposed to be my night. Tyler's expression hardened. Emma, no one owes you a relationship. And the fact that you think someone can switch between sisters like we're interchangeable objects tells me everything I need to know about your character. With that, he left, leaving Emma sobbing in the doorway and my parents staring at the ruins of their master plan. But instead of recognizing their mistakes, my parents immediately turned their anger toward me. Carissa, how could you sabotage your sister like that? My mother demanded. I didn't do anything, I replied, stunned by their reaction. You just stood there and let him reject her, my father accused. You could have supported her story, helped smooth things over. Emma wiped her tear-streaked makeup and glared at me with pure hatred. You've always been jealous of me. You couldn't stand that someone might choose me over you for once. I realized that even faced with the obvious truth that Tyler was never interested in Emma romantically and that she had lied about our family, they still found a way to blame me for the disaster. The evening had revealed not just Emma's capacity for self-deception, but my entire family's willingness to sacrifice truth and fairness to maintain their warped view of reality. And tomorrow morning, my automatic mortgage payment was still scheduled to go through funding the very people who had just blamed me for their own failures. The next morning brought an emergency family meeting that I hadn't requested, but apparently was required to attend. I arrived at my parents' house to find Emma red-eyed and furious, my mother wringing her hands nervously, and my father wearing his serious businessman expression. "Carissa, we need to talk about your behavior last night," my father began before I had even sat down. My behavior? I couldn't hide my incredulity. "You deliberately undermined Emma's relationship with Tyler," my mother accused. "You could have been supportive instead of revealing private family information." "What private information? That Emma has a sister?" "You know what I mean," Emma snapped. "You made me look like a liar in front of him." "Emma, you did lie to him. You told him you were an only child." "That's not the point," my father interjected. "The point is family loyalty. We stick together and support each other, especially when outsiders are involved." I stared at them in amazement. "Tyler isn't an outsider. He's someone I dated for 2 years in college, and he was never romantically interested in Emma anyway." "That's not true," Emma protested. "He was totally into me until you showed up and confused him." The depth of her delusion was staggering, but my parents seemed determined to support it. "Regardless of what happened last night," my mother said, "we need to address the bigger issue here. Your threat to stop helping with the mortgage was completely out of line." "Was it?" I asked quietly. "Of course it was," my father said firmly. "We're family. Family helps each other through difficult times." "Then let's talk about these difficult times, Dad. Let's talk about exactly how difficult things have been." I pulled out my phone and opened the folder where I had been documenting financial discrepancies for the past week. "According to your Facebook posts, you've been on 6 fishing trips in the past 2 months. Each trip involved expensive boat rentals, premium equipment, and dining at restaurants that charge $40 per entree." My father's face began to redden. "A man needs recreation time. Those trips help me network for potential business opportunities. And the golf membership at Riverside Country Club, the one that costs $2,000 annually, golf is essential for business networking in construction. Dad, you've been collecting unemployment for 8 months. What business exactly are you networking for?" The silence that followed was deafening. "I've been exploring opportunities," he said defensively. "The construction industry is complicated right now." "Exploring opportunities while I pay your mortgage every month?" My mother stepped in. "Carissa, you don't understand the pressure your father has been under. He lost his job unfairly, and he's been doing everything he can to get back on his feet." "Mom, what exactly happened with Dad's job?" Another uncomfortable silence. "It was a personality conflict with the new foreman," my father finally said. "Nothing I could control." I looked at each of them carefully. "Dad, I'm going to ask you directly, and I want an honest answer. Were you fired for drinking on the job site?" The color drained from his face completely. "Who told you that?" he whispered. "It doesn't matter who told me. Is it true?" Emma looked shocked. "Dad, you didn't tell us he was drinking at work." "It was just one incident," he said desperately. "I was having a bad day dealing with stress. It won't happen again." "One incident that cost you your job and has led to 8 months of unemployment," I clarified. "I've been looking for work," he protested. "Have you? Because according to your unemployment filing, you're supposed to be applying for jobs weekly and documenting your search. I'd like to see those records." My mother started crying. "Carissa, why are you attacking your father like this? He's doing his best in a difficult situation." I'm trying to understand the situation I've been financing. Mom, do you work? You know I haven't worked since Emma was born. That was 22 years ago. So for 8 months, this family's only legitimate income has been Dad's unemployment benefits, which amount to approximately $300 per week. I did the math out loud. $1,200 per month from unemployment, but your mortgage alone is $1,200, plus utilities, food, car payments, insurance, and all the extras. How exactly did you think this was sustainable? My father looked defeated. We thought it would be temporary. I thought I'd find work quickly. But instead of finding work, you spent time fishing, playing golf, and taking Emma shopping. Emma needed those things, my mother defended. She was trying to build a relationship that could benefit all of us. By lying to a man about having a sister and misinterpreting professional networking as romantic interest, Emma's anger flared again. I didn't misinterpret anything. Tyler was definitely interested in me until you showed up. I ignored her and continued with my financial analysis. Let me show you something else I discovered. I opened my banking app and showed them the credit monitoring alert I had received 3 days earlier. I got a notification about new accounts opened in my name. When I investigated, I found 3 credit cards that I never applied for. My parents exchanged panicked glances. The cards were opened using my social security number and my old address here at your house. They've been used to charge over $15,000 in the past 6 months. My mother started sobbing harder. Carissa, we can explain. Please do. My father took a shaky breath. We were desperate. The unemployment wasn't enough, and we didn't want to burden you with more requests for money. So instead you committed identity theft. It's not identity theft when it's family, Emma said hotly. You're being dramatic. I stared at her. Emma opening credit accounts in someone else's name without their permission is literally the definition of identity theft. It's a federal crime. But we're family, my mother pleaded. We raised you, supported you through college. You owe us some help in return. I supported myself through college with loans and jobs, and I've been helping you for months by paying your mortgage, but apparently that wasn't enough. I showed them the credit card statements I had obtained. $15,000 in charges. Let's see what you spent it on. I read from the statements. Nordstrom $500, Sephora $300, spa treatments $400, vacation rental in Gatlinburg $800, premium cable and streaming services $200 monthly, designer handbags, shoes, jewelry. Emma had the grace to look ashamed, but my parents still seemed to think they could justify their actions. We wanted Emma to have opportunities, my mother said. You can't expect her to compete for quality men while looking like she shops at discount stores. Mom, you stole my identity to buy Emma designer handbags. We borrowed against your excellent credit, my father corrected. We always planned to pay it back. With what money, Dad's unemployment, Mom's non-existent income, Emma's part-time retail job, the mathematical impossibility of their plan was finally starting to sink in. We thought once Emma married well, she could help pay back the debts, my mother admitted. So your plan was to commit federal crimes based on Emma's fantasy that a man she barely knew was going to marry her and solve all our financial problems. When I stated it that clearly, even they seemed to realize how insane it sounded. It wasn't a fantasy, Emma said weakly. Tyler really seemed interested. Emma, he explicitly told you last night that he was looking for friendship and professional networking opportunities. He never once indicated romantic interest. He might have developed feelings over time, based on a relationship founded on lies about your family situation. The room fell silent as the full scope of their poor decisions became clear. Here's what's going to happen, I announced. I'm filing a police report about the identity theft. I'm disputing all charges on those credit cards as fraudulent, and tomorrow's mortgage payment will be the last one I ever make. You can't do that to us, my mother cried. We'll lose the house. You should have thought about that before you decided to steal from me. Emma jumped up from her chair. Carissa, you're being vindictive and cruel. We're your family. No, Emma. Family members don't steal from each other. Family members don't lie to each other. Family members don't exploit each other financially while calling it love. I gathered my things to leave, but my father made one last desperate appeal. Carissa, please. Let's work something out. We'll pay you back, we'll get jobs, we'll do whatever it takes. Dad, you've had 8 months to get a job. Instead, you've been fishing and golfing while Mom enabled Emma's delusional fantasies. It's too late for promises. As I walked toward the door, Emma screamed after me, Fine, cut us off. See if we ever speak to you again. Emma, I said, turning back one last time, you made that choice when you decided I was worth more to you as a bank account than as a sister. I left them sitting in the wreckage of their financial house of cards, knowing that tomorrow morning, for the first time in 8 months, they would face the real consequences of their choices. I spent the weekend consulting with a financial crimes attorney and documenting every aspect of my family's fraud. By Monday morning, I had filed police reports, disputed the fraudulent credit card charges, and frozen all accounts they had access to. Most importantly, I had canceled the automatic mortgage payment that was scheduled for Tuesday. Tuesday afternoon, my phone started ringing. First my mother, then my father, then Emma. I let them all go to voicemail while I sat in my office focusing on a complex investment analysis for one of my clients. When I finally listened to the messages during my lunch break, the progression from confusion to panic was evident. My mother's first message, Carissa, honey, I think there might be an error with the mortgage payment. The bank called saying it didn't go through. Can you check on that? My father's message an hour later. Carissa, we really need to talk. There seems to be some kind of banking problem. Call me back as soon as you get this. Emma's message from that evening. Carissa, stop playing games. Mom is having panic attacks about the house. Fix this right now. I didn't return any of their calls. Wednesday brought more frantic messages, but also something new. My mother left a voicemail that revealed just how much they had been hiding from me. Carissa, the credit card companies are calling. They're saying the accounts in your name are past due. I don't understand what's happening. Also, your father's unemployment benefits are ending next week, and we haven't told you, but Emma lost her job at the boutique yesterday. Please call us. We need to figure this out together. Emma had lost her job. That was new information. I was curious enough about the circumstances to call my cousin Rachel, who worked at the same shopping center where Emma had been employed. Oh my God, Carissa, Rachel said when I asked about Emma. It was so embarrassing. She had a complete meltdown at work on Monday. She was telling customers about her dating problems and crying while she was supposed to be helping them shop. When her manager tried to talk to her about it, she screamed that everyone was jealous of her beauty and potential. They had to escort her out of the store. She was fired for having an emotional breakdown at work. It wasn't just one breakdown. Rachel from the jewelry store next door told me Emma had been acting erratic for weeks, coming in late, disappearing for long phone calls, talking to customers about her personal life instead of focusing on their needs. Monday was just the final straw. So Emma's fantasy relationship with Tyler had not only crashed and burned, but it had also cost her what little employment she had. Thursday morning, I received a certified letter at my apartment. My parents had hired a lawyer to send me a formal demand for continued mortgage payments, claiming that I had entered into a verbal contract to provide financial support, and that withdrawing that support constituted breach of contract. The legal threat was laughable, but it revealed just how desperate they had become. I forwarded the letter to my attorney, who called me within an hour. Carissa, this is one of the most ridiculous legal documents I've ever seen. Not only is there no basis for a verbal contract claim, but they've admitted in writing to accepting fraudulent credit card charges. This letter is actually evidence for your identity theft case. So they've made their legal situation worse by threatening me. Much worse. I'd like to arrange a meeting with their attorney to discuss the criminal implications of their actions. Sometimes facing the possibility of federal charges helps people understand the seriousness of identity theft. Friday evening, my phone rang with a call from my father. This time I answered. "Carissa, thank God. We need to meet. Our attorney says there might be some misunderstanding about the credit cards." "There's no misunderstanding, Dad. You opened accounts in my name without permission and charged $15,000 on them. That's identity theft." "But we're family. Surely there's a way to work this out without involving lawyers and police." "You involved lawyers when you sent me that ridiculous demand letter." "That was a mistake. We were panicked and got bad advice. Can we please sit down and talk like adults?" "Adults don't steal from their children, Dad." "We never meant for it to be stealing. We always planned to pay you back." "With what money your unemployment ends next week. Mom hasn't worked in 22 years. Emma just got fired from her part-time job. What exactly was your plan for paying back $15,000 plus interest?" The silence told me he had never actually thought through the financial logistics. "We thought Emma's relationship would lead to financial stability," he said quietly. "Dad, Emma lied to Tyler about having a sister. She misinterpreted professional networking as romantic interest. She had a public emotional breakdown that cost her job. Even if Tyler had been interested in romance, do you think that level of instability makes someone a good marriage prospect?" Emma was under a lot of pressure. She felt like she had to succeed for the whole family. "No, Dad. Emma felt entitled to a wealthy husband and expensive lifestyle without having to work for either. There's a difference between pressure and entitlement." "What do you want us to do, Carissa?" "I want you to take responsibility for your actions. Get jobs, all of you. Figure out how to support yourselves. Stop treating me like a bank account and Emma like a lottery ticket." "And if we do that, will you help with the mortgage?" "No, Dad. That ship has sailed. You chose to lie to me, steal from me, and then threaten me legally when I withdrew my support. There are consequences for those choices." "We'll lose the house." "Then you'll learn what it's like to face the real cost of your financial decisions." I hung up and immediately called my attorney to arrange the meeting with their lawyer. It was time for my family to understand that actions have consequences, even when you're related to the person you're hurting. That evening, I treated myself to dinner at a nice restaurant and began planning a vacation to Europe with the money I would no longer be sending to my parents each month. For the first time in 8 months, my financial stress was gone. The people who had been draining my resources while calling it love were finally going to experience the reality of adult responsibility. I felt lighter than I had in years. The meeting between lawyers took place the following Tuesday at my attorney's office. My parents arrived looking haggard and defeated, accompanied by a clearly uncomfortable legal representative who had obviously realized his clients had no case. Within 15 minutes, their attorney was advising them to settle the identity theft charges and avoid criminal prosecution by agreeing to my terms full responsibility for the fraudulent credit card debt, no further contact except through attorneys, and immediate cessation of any claims on my financial support. But the real consequences were only beginning. I learned through my cousin Rachel that my parents had received a foreclosure notice within a week of my missed mortgage payment. Without my monthly $1,200 and with no other income besides unemployment benefits that had now expired, they couldn't even make the minimum payment to delay proceedings. Emma's job loss had been even more devastating than I initially understood. Not only had she been fired from the boutique, but her emotional breakdown had been so public that other retail stores in the shopping center had blacklisted her. Her reputation for instability had spread through the local retail community, making it nearly impossible for her to find similar employment. My father's drinking problem, previously hidden behind unemployment claims and fishing trips, became impossible to ignore when stress forced him to face reality. My mother found empty bottles hidden throughout their house and finally understood why he had really been fired from his construction job. Meanwhile, my own life flourished in ways I hadn't expected. Without the constant financial drain and emotional manipulation, I threw myself into my career with renewed energy. My supervisor noticed my improved focus and offered me a promotion to senior analyst, which came with a significant salary increase. Tyler had reached out as promised, and we began having coffee dates that felt both nostalgic and new. He was impressed by how I had handled my family situation with such maturity and clear boundaries. I have to admit, he told me over dinner one evening, "Seeing how Emma manipulated your family's finances while lying about basic facts was a huge red flag. But watching you stand up for yourself and refuse to enable their behavior showed me the kind of person you've become." It wasn't easy, I admitted. Part of me felt guilty for cutting them off. Guilt is normal when you set boundaries with people who have been exploiting you. But look at what you've accomplished in just a few weeks. You got promoted, you're saving money for things you actually want, and you're not constantly stressed about their latest crisis. He was right. For years, I had been living paycheck to paycheck, despite earning a good salary, because every extra dollar went to my family's manufactured emergencies. Now, I was actually building savings and making plans for my own future. "What's happening with them now?" Tyler asked gently. "They're learning what consequences feel like. Dad finally admitted he has a drinking problem and started attending meetings. Mom got a job as a receptionist at a dental office. Emma is working at a coffee shop and apparently taking night classes in business administration." That sounds like progress. It is progress, but it only happened because they finally had to face reality instead of using me as a financial safety net. The most surprising development came 6 weeks after I had withdrawn my support. Emma called me directly for the first time since the night of Tyler's disastrous visit. "Carissa, I need to talk to you." She said, her voice smaller than I had ever heard it. "I'm listening." "I want to apologize. Not because I want money or help, but because I finally understand what I did to you." I waited for her to continue. "Working at the coffee shop has been humbling. I have to get up at 5 a.m, deal with rude customers, clean bathrooms, and earn every dollar I make. Before this, I had no idea what it felt like to be completely responsible for myself." "How are you managing?" "Barely. I'm living in a tiny studio apartment and eating ramen noodles most nights. But I'm managing. And for the first time in my life, I'm proud of earning my own money instead of just spending other people's." "That's a big change, Emma." "I also realized that I never actually wanted to marry for money. I wanted financial security, but I thought the only way to get it was through someone else's success. It never occurred to me to build my own success." "What made you realize that?" "Seeing how you built your career and independence. You never needed anyone to take care of you because you took care of yourself. I always thought that made you boring and unromantic, but now I see it made you powerful." Her words surprised me. Emma had never expressed admiration for my career choices before. "I'm taking business classes at the community college," she continued. "I want to learn how to manage money and maybe start my own business someday. I want to be someone who contributes value instead of just consuming resources." "Emma, that's wonderful." "I know you probably don't trust me yet, and you shouldn't, but I want you to know that I'm trying to become a person worthy of being your sister." The conversation was a start, but I knew real change would take time to prove itself. Still, hearing Emma take responsibility for her actions and express genuine understanding of the harm she had caused was more than I had expected. My parents, facing the reality of potential homelessness, had been forced to make dramatic changes. My father's drinking had escalated under stress, but the threat of losing everything finally motivated him to seek serious help. He joined Alcoholics Anonymous and began working with a sponsor who helped him understand how his addiction had contributed to his job loss and financial irresponsibility. My mother, after decades of depending on others for financial support, had to learn basic job skills and workplace behavior. Her position as a dental office receptionist was challenging, but she was slowly adapting to the routine and responsibility. Most importantly, they had both stopped viewing Emma as their meal ticket and me as their bank account. The fantasy of easy money through Emma's marriage prospects had died with Tyler's rejection, forcing them to confront the reality that financial stability required actual work and planning. 3 months after cutting them off, I received a letter from my father. He didn't ask for money or help. Instead, he thanked me for forcing them to face the consequences of their actions. "I realize now that by constantly bailing us out, you were enabling our irresponsible behavior," he wrote. "We never learned to solve our own problems because you always solved them for us. It was unfair to you and harmful to our own character development." The letter was the first time any of my family members had acknowledged the damage they had done to me personally, not just the financial harm, but the emotional cost of being treated like a resource rather than a daughter and sister. Reading it, I realized that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to protect people from the natural consequences of their choices. My family was finally growing up, but only because I had stopped enabling their immaturity. 1 year later, I stood in the kitchen of my new 2-bedroom apartment preparing dinner for a very different kind of family gathering. Tyler was setting the table while Emma helped me finish the salad, and my parents sat in the living room looking genuinely comfortable for the first time in years. The transformation had been remarkable and gradual. My father had celebrated 6 months of sobriety and found work with a construction company that specifically hired people in recovery programs. The structure and accountability had given him a sense of purpose he had lost years earlier. My mother had not only kept her receptionist job, but had been promoted to office manager after proving herself reliable and capable of learning new skills. At 55, she discovered she actually enjoyed working and contributing to something outside the home. Emma had completed her business administration certificate with a 4.0 grade average and used her customer service experience to land a position with an event planning company. She was learning the industry from the ground up, working long hours, but building real skills and professional relationships. Most surprisingly, Emma had reconnected with Tyler in a completely different context. When she needed help planning a corporate client event, she reached out to him professionally asking for construction consultation on venue modifications. Their interaction was completely business-focused, and Emma's new maturity and work ethic impressed him enough that he recommended her services to other business contacts. "It's funny," Emma told me while we prepared dinner. "I used to think Tyler rejecting me was the worst thing that could happen, but it turned out to be the best thing. It forced me to figure out who I actually am instead of who I thought I should be for someone else." "How do you feel about him now?" I asked, genuinely curious. "I like him as a person, but I'm not attracted to him romantically anymore. When I was looking for a meal ticket, his financial success was the most important thing about him. Now that I'm focused on building my own career, I'm more attracted to people who share my goals and values." She paused, cutting tomatoes with careful precision. "Plus, seeing you two together made me realize that real relationships are built on friendship and shared experiences, not financial calculations." Tyler and I had indeed rebuilt our relationship on a much stronger foundation than our college romance. We had both grown and matured since our early 20s, and our shared experience of my family's manipulation had created a deeper understanding between us. 2 weeks earlier, he had proposed during a weekend trip to the mountains, presenting me with a ring he had chosen himself instead of asking my family for guidance or approval. The proposal was private romantic and completely focused on our relationship rather than external expectations. "When do you think you'll get married?" my mother asked during dinner, but her tone was genuinely curious rather than scheming. "We're thinking next fall," Tyler answered. "We want to take time to plan something that reflects our values and preferences." "Will it be expensive?" Emma asked, then immediately looked embarrassed. "Sorry, that's none of my business. I'm still learning not to think about other people's finances." I laughed. "It's okay to be curious. We're planning something simple and meaningful rather than expensive and elaborate. We want to start our marriage with financial stability rather than debt." My father nodded approvingly. "That's smart planning. I wish I had understood the importance of financial responsibility when I was younger." The conversation was comfortable and natural, free from the undercurrents of manipulation and resentment that had poisoned our family dynamics for years. After dinner, my parents announced they had something to share. "We wanted you both to know that we've been working with a financial counselor to get our affairs in order," my mother said. "We're on track to pay off the credit card debt within 2 years, and we've managed to keep the house by downsizing our expenses and both working full-time. More importantly," my father added, "we've learned to live within our means and save for emergencies instead of creating emergencies for other people to solve." Emma spoke up. "I've been thinking about our family dynamics a lot in therapy. I realized that I spent so many years being jealous of Carissa's success that I never tried to build my own. And you guys enabled that by treating her like she owed us financial support, and me like I deserved financial support without earning it." "Therapy?" I asked, surprised. "I started going after Tyler rejected me and I lost my job. I needed to understand why I had built my entire identity around other people's resources instead of my own capabilities." My mother nodded. "We're all in therapy individually and as a couple. We're learning to communicate honestly and take responsibility for our actions instead of blaming each other or expecting someone else to fix our problems." The changes were profound and genuine. But more than that, they had led to something I had never experienced with my family before: mutual respect. "I want to say something to all of you," I announced, raising my wine glass. "This past year has been difficult but necessary. We've all learned that love without respect isn't really love, and that helping without boundaries isn't really helpful." I looked at each of them individually. "Dad, I'm proud of your sobriety and your commitment to earning your way back to financial stability. Mom, I'm impressed by how you've adapted to working life and discovered your own capabilities. Emma, I'm amazed by your transformation and your commitment to building your own success." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "Carissa, I want you to know that I finally understand the difference between being supported and being enabled. You didn't abandon us when you cut off the money. You forced us to grow up. And we're better people because of it," my father added. "We're actually proud of ourselves now instead of just proud of what we can get from other people." Tyler reached for my hand. "I've learned a lot from watching your family work through this process. It's shown me the importance of clear boundaries and honest communication in all relationships." "What's the most important thing you've learned?" my mother asked me. I thought carefully before answering. "I learned that you can't love people into making good choices, but you can refuse to enable their bad choices. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let people experience the natural consequences of their actions. Even when it's painful for everyone involved," Emma added. "Especially when it's painful," I agreed. "Growth is usually uncomfortable." As we cleaned up after dinner, I reflected on the journey that had brought us to this point. A year ago, I was working constantly to fund my family's irresponsible lifestyle while receiving no appreciation or respect in return. I was exhausted, resentful, and trapped in a cycle of financial manipulation disguised as family obligation. Today, I had a loving relationship with Tyler built on mutual respect and shared goals. I had a healthy relationship with my family based on honest communication and personal responsibility. Most importantly, I had learned to value myself enough to demand respect from others. The lesson that emerged from our family's crisis was both simple and profound. Healthy relationships require reciprocity, honesty, and respect. When any of those elements are missing, love alone isn't enough to sustain the relationship. My family had to lose everything they thought they wanted before they could discover what they actually needed: self-respect, personal responsibility, and genuine connection with each other. As Tyler and I drove home that evening, I realized that my canceled birthday had led to the best gift I had ever received: a family that finally saw me as a person worthy of love and respect, not just a source of financial security. "What are you thinking about?" Tyler asked, noticing my quiet mood. "I'm thinking about how grateful I am for everything that happened this year, even the painful parts. No regrets about cutting them off financially. None at all. It was the best decision I ever made for all of us." Tyler smiled. "I love that you're strong enough to make difficult decisions for the right reasons. That's one of the things that made me fall in love with you all over again." "What else made you fall in love with me?" "Your kindness, your intelligence, your work ethic, and the fact that you never tried to change yourself to please other people. You're authentic, and that's incredibly attractive." As we pulled into our apartment complex, I realized that I had finally found what Emma had been searching for all along: a relationship with someone who loved me for who I actually was, not for what I could provide. The difference was that I had built that relationship by becoming someone worthy of love, rather than by trying to manipulate someone into taking care of me. Sometimes the best revenge against people who undervalue you is simply living well and demanding better treatment. My family learned to respect me only after I stopped accepting anything less than respect. And in the end, we all became better people, because I finally learned to love myself enough to set boundaries that protected my own well-being. Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with family members who were taking advantage of your success or generosity? How did you find the courage to prioritize your own well-being when it meant disappointing people you love? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below, and if this story resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more real-life stories about overcoming family challenges, and share it with anyone who might need encouragement to stand up for themselves. Thank you for listening, and I hope you always remember that you deserve relationships built on mutual respect and genuine love, not obligation and manipulation. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next story.